Reggie, in Paul's poem, or however you want to call it, in the letter, he says that Jesus emptied himself. And I've heard people talk about, that means he lost some of his divine attributes or other things like that. I mean, how can that be? Could Jesus still be God and not have certain characteristics?
Graham, from way back in the history of the church, in the Byzantine era, all the way up to today, there are people who are wrongly teaching that Jesus diminished his divinity when he came among us. But the Orthodox Church has felt the need to maintain, and I think rightly so, that his emptying himself is not a diminishing of his deity. It's more an adding his humanity and coming among us in such a way that it is not his own interests that he comes to serve. I mean, he had every right to just stay in heaven forever and just be the eternal Son of God, the eternal second person of the Trinity, and enjoy the fellowship with the Father and the Holy Spirit that always was, and that would be restored after the project of the incarnation, by which he added his humanity to his being. And when he comes among us, he comes as a servant. That's the point here. And it's important, I think, for us to recognize that when he's among us, he is still God. Mm-hmm. And it's in the early church, it became important to stress that that he was strong enough to save us. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, it was important to confess his complete humanity so that he could actually heal us, that he could actually take the rap for us.
So I guess that's why some translations say he humbled himself rather than he emptied himself.
Actually, that uses both verbs in here. It uses he emptied himself and he humbled himself. But I think your point is well taken. The humbling is an explanation of the emptying himself. Okay. It's not a losing of his divinity. It is an adding his humanity in such a way that he could come among us as one who serves, as one who washes feet, as one who allows himself to be accused of being a criminal wrongly, and to be cursed by the Father so that the Father can declare us righteous through his death.
So it's not so much that he loses divine attributes or anything like that, but in that adding of his humanity, he takes on our limitations?
He takes on our limitations. It's hard not to switch over to the logic of the writer to the Hebrews, where he talks about how Jesus, though he was a son, learned obedience. He comes to, and it's that qualifies him to be our priest and our sacrifice. And the whole project of the incarnation, it has so many dimensions to it. In his incarnation, he models true sonship. He models what it is for us to live as sons of God. In his incarnation, he comes to provide the obedience to the law that Israel had been called to, but was never able to live. He does it in our place, and he does it so that on the far side of his bearing the curses of the law, we could see what we're supposed to live like. And prime among the things that he comes to model in his limitation is, I don't have to assert my rights. I could call down legions of angels at any point, but I'm not going to do that because I've come to serve, and that means putting other people's interests above my own.